Today, we're going to talk about 7 ways to discover a great name for your business.
Welcome to Let's Rethink Business, presented by Dale Beaumont and brought to you by businessblueprint.com.
For today's video, I'm actually going to answer a question that's been emailed in by Sarah Lewis. And Sarah is from Adelaide and she writes, I'm about to start a new business in my local area, but I have a desire to take it national or even global in a few years' time. Is a good business name really that important, and can you give me some recommendations about how to come up with a great name? Thanks, Dale. I've attended your seminars before and loved them. I'd really appreciate your help and advice. First of all, just wanted to say thanks to Sarah for submitting the question, and because you haven't told me exactly what your business is, I'm just going to talk in kind of general principles here, and people can use it for naming any other business or any type of product or service that they might launch under their existing business. Now, the first part of the question is pretty simple, and that is a good business name really that important? Well, the simple answer is, of course, yes. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that a business name will break or make your business, but it is important. And if you can get it right from day one, it's much easier and much better than having to change it later down the track. Now, the second part of your question was, well, how do I come up with a great name for my business? Well, I believe there are in fact 7 ways to come up with a great name for your business. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to list them all for you now and give you some real life examples of each one. Then what I'm going to do at the end is talk about some things to avoid and some things not to do when it comes to naming a business. So let's have some fun. Let's get started. Number 1, name by desire. This is one of my favorite ways in order to name a business, because what you're doing is getting the main benefit of your business and sticking it right into your name. This way, people already have a good idea about what you do before they know anything else about your business. And if you do it right, what you'll be able to do is to put in your unique advantage into your name, effectively distancing you from any other competitors. Now, here are some examples of businesses that have gone down the path of name by desire. The first one is Die Hard Batteries. As you can guess, batteries that last a long time, which is the desire. It's what everybody wants. Loans approved. Again, we're taking the desire. People want to get loans and they want them approved, and we're putting that into the name. Lean Cuisine, which is another one. Everybody wants to eat food that's not going to make them fat. My Booty Belt is another one. Obviously, make sure buns look good. Stick and click lights, so lights that stick and click, so it's what people want, and it's right there in the name. Another one is Body Trim. Again, another one around weight loss and what people want. This is a cool one, 5 Hour Energy. That's an energy drink, so it's taking what they do, putting it right into the name. And the last one is Forever Comfy Cushions. And so that's another company name, and it's pretty clear what they do and what they offer. Number 2, name by problem. This is similar to name by desire. However, instead of focusing on the thing that people want, we're instead going to focus on the thing that people don't want, the problem that they're trying to avoid, the thing that they're trying to move away from. Now, I particularly like this when you're working in more of a mature market. Basically, what you do is you talk to your customers and you ask them, what are the biggest problems with XYZ products? Or what are your frustrations when dealing with someone from this particular industry? Then what you do is you take their problems or their issues and you wrap it into your name. Again, the benefit of naming a business like this is what you're doing is you're displaying your unique point of difference. And again, you're separating you from all of your competitors. So let's go through some examples now when it comes to name by problem. Never Late Electrical. So clearly, a lot of issues that people have, electricians are, or tradespeople in general, is that they're always late. And so by taking the main problem that people hate, late tradespeople, putting it into the name, you differentiate you from everybody else. Next one is streak-free windows. So that's the problem when people cleaning windows leave streaks. So we want to avoid that. So there's the name. The next one, the Groutinator, which is, I'm guessing, getting rid of grout. Another one is Fat Blaster, so blasting away fat. Never Lost Pet Tags. So these are pet tags that apparently never going to get lost. No Nicks razor oil. So again, getting rid of the main problem that men have with regards to shaving. And finally, my personal favorite is called Start Your Bastard. And this is apparently a spray that helps engines to start. Number 3, alliteration. This is another one of my favorite ways in order to name a business. What you do is you pick a word, which is normally the control word, and then you go through the dictionary and you find another matching word that starts with the same letter. Now the reason why this is good is they have a certain rhythm and a certain ring to them, and they're much easier to say and remember. So let me go through a few examples, many of which you'll no doubt know about. The first one is Weight Watchers. Clearly both of those are starting with the letter W. Next one, American Airlines. Next one, Paramount Pictures. Next one is Fitness First. Then we have Body Bronzer. We have Business Blueprint, which is the name of my business. Next one is Creative Capital. Another one is SlideShare. And then Dr. Drip. Number 4, own a word. This is where you pick just one word that's commonly known in the English language, that's ideally somehow linked to your product or service, and then you aggressively go about attaching your business to that particular name. Now, if you can nail this, it's a wonderful thing, because every time someone thinks of that particular word, they'll actually be at the same time thinking about your business. Now, I just had this experience recently where I was with my wife and she said, "Can you please pass me the Apple?" And I reached over and picked up the Apple computer and I gave it to her, and she said, "No, I was actually really after the apple," which was a piece of fruit. So that's the power of actually owning a word. Now, the only thing to be aware of with this method is it's going to take you a bit of time in order to gain momentum, and generally speaking it's going to be more difficult to trademark a general name like that. It might take you a number of years in order to get it through. Anyway, let me now go through a number of examples of how you can own a word. Apple, clearly. Another one is Borders. Another one is Amazon, Yahoo, Proactive, Pandora, Sharp, Crust, and Yelp. So they're all examples of companies that have chosen just one word and made the decision to own it. Number 5, invent a word. This time you're not going to use the dictionary or the thesaurus, because right now the word doesn't even exist. This is where you're going to pull something out of thin air. Well, not quite. It does involve some strategic thinking. Maybe the name could evolve out of the founder's name, it could be an acronym, or you could be putting two really short words together. So let me now go through and share with you some examples of companies that have invented words, and now those words are household names. We've got Facebook, YouTube, Avon, Colgate, Electrolux, Oreo, Qantas, Ironfish, IKEA, and Lego. Again, like above, you must exercise caution when it comes to taking this path. Why? Because these names really have no meaning until a company spends years and sometimes even millions of dollars before they become part of people's everyday life. However, the payoff is once these names become known, then they become part of people's everyday vocabulary. And the company's name is often used to define an entire category, effectively shunning out any other competitors. For example, you may hear people say, "Can you buy me a box of Kleenex?" Or, "Why don't you search for that on Google?" These are obviously just names of companies, but they're used to describe the entire category. Number 6, word mash. Word mash is where you actually invent a word. However, it's much easier to create because your word comes from mixing two parts of other words together. So what you do is you make a list of what your company does and all of your features and benefits. And then what you do is you play mix and match to see what words can be creatively paired together. Now this one is probably better done with a few friends, each with a drink or two in hand, because it does involve some people thinking outside the box and using creativity. Let me now share with you a number of different examples of companies that have used word mash to come up with their business name. First of all, Microsoft, which is a combination of microcomputer and software joined together. The next one is Skype, which is a combination of Sky, which is obviously through the cloud, through the internet, and also peer-to-peer. So putting together Sky and peer-to-peer is Skype. Next one is Wiki and Encyclopedia, which is Wikipedia. The next one is Federal and Express, which is, of course, FedEx. The next one is Group and Coupon, which became Groupon. Then we have Bandage and First Aid, which has become Band-Aid. Then we have Walton and Supermarket, which became Walmart. And then we've also got Website and Jet Setting, which has become WebJet. Number 7, word twist. This method, which I call word twist, is becoming increasingly popular for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's becoming even harder to come up with names that you can actually register a .com address, which for many people is important. And number 2, there are many businesses that are looking for ways to display their originality and a bit of a cool factor off the bat. So with a word twist, what a company does is they pick a word or maybe even 2, and then they change the spelling. They may add an extra letter, they may write the word phonetically, they may remove some vowels, they may add a vowel on the front. So let's go through some examples now of word twist. The first one is Netflix. The next one is Fiverr, and Fiverr is spelt with 2 R's. The next one is Xero, which is some bookkeeping and accounting software, but rather than using the letter Z, they start the word with X, X-E-R-O. The next one is Dig with 2 G's. The other one is Woot with 2 O's. We also have Photolog, but photo is spelt with an F instead of a PH. We have Clout, which is spelt C-L-O-U-T, and we also have iTunes. So there's some examples of companies that have just twisted a word or a letter or added a letter, and that's how they've come up with their company name. Now the benefit of word twist is it's much easier if you're registering a domain name, if you're adding a letter on either end or changing the spelling around, and it's much easier to get the name trademarked, which is another important thing as well. Disadvantage is that people will misspell it, and they'll type in the wrong thing into the search engine, and you might be sending your traffic elsewhere. So proceed with this one with caution. So we've just covered 7 ways to come up with your business name. Now what I want to talk about is some things to avoid. Before I wrap up, I think it's worthwhile to quickly share some of the things that you should avoid when it comes to naming your business. The first one is 3 words. Now, did you notice that pretty much all the examples that I gave had just 1 or 2 words? And you can also do a Google search on the list of Fortune 500 companies and you'll see the same thing. Pretty much all of them have either 1 or 2 words, hardly any have 3 words. And if you're kind of wondering, well, how do I squeeze it into just 2 words? That's exactly what a tagline is for. Taglines will then help to explain a bit more about what your company does. So my advice is keep it short. Acronyms. This is another thing I think you should avoid altogether. And if you want my honest opinion, I would avoid them altogether. Examples are things like GKRS Constructions or VPM Pool Services. The problem with these type of names are they're really difficult for customers to remember. They are for you because as the business owner, you'll probably say them 20 or 30 times a day, but for everyone else, these random letters will get easily forgotten. And unless you're a company like KFC or IGA and you spend billions of dollars every year on advertising and marketing, people will forget and they won't know what to search for, and they'll probably end up going to someone else's website and doing business with them because quite simply they can't remember your 3 or 4 letters. Naming the business after you. Oftentimes, many startups will name the business after themselves. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. However, at some point, it will come back to bite you. As an example, one of my friends named his business Andrew Smith Plumbing, after guess who? Himself. But the problem was that later he tried to remove himself from the day-to-day of the business and hire other staff. But this was a real challenge because customers only wanted to speak to Andrew Smith. So what Andrew did is he renamed his business Dr. Drip, and he now has 12 staff and has a very successful business. Where to from here? So there you have it. There are 7 ways to choose a great name for your business, and further 3 other things to avoid altogether if possible. As you can see, there's a little more to it than just slapping a name on it. However, if you do it right and you capture people's minds and imaginations, you'll be on the verge of something truly great. Thanks so much, Sarah, for submitting this question. I really hope that you find the answer useful, and I'd love to know what you think of the video. So after you've watched it, please send us an email and let me know your thoughts. That wraps up today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks, Sarah, for submitting your question. But right now, I'd love to know, what do you think? Which is your favorite way to name a business? Or do you have any other methods that you've used that have worked successfully for you? If so, I'd love to hear them. Please leave them in the comment section just below this video. If you've enjoyed watching, please click on the like button, or better still, share the video with other people that you know. And as always, all the best conversations happen at businessblueprint.com. That's where you can go to subscribe and receive free updates, and also a whole bunch of additional resources to grow your business. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.